Fox News. Ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go.
Trump's House GOP unveil bill to authorize country's purchase. American economic and security interests will no longer take a backseat, says Rep. Andy Ogles, who is leading the bill. It's time to invade Greenland, and we will be greeted as liberators.
Invade with dollars.
Bring an American bucks up.
I mean, the Canada one, no way. That's not happening.
The Canada one was just opposed, but like this one and the Panama Canal one are both legitimate arguments about not just national security, but because of these two strategic locations and the melting ice in the polar in the north, that matters. So, like, that's going to be a trade route, and the United States has been the global hegemon for the better part of 75 years. Some would argue longer, and the United States has made the whole world a safer place because of it. You don't want Russia or China owning or managing those trade routes. So China's
educate me on this. How does he plan? I mean, what is he suggesting here? Are we suggesting just a negotiation, a deal?
Yeah, well,
this is invasion, right?
No. It's not going to be a military invasion. If I understand
negotiation.
If I understand correctly, there's only like 50,000 people up there, right? And the last time, like the U.S. got the U.S. Virgin Islands because of strategic location compared to the Panama Canal, the U.S. acquired the Virgin Islands from Denmark for $25 million in gold.
I see. So essentially, right? You would pay a government. Like, who owns Greenland now?
Well, Greenland wants independence.
Yeah.
So they're in Denmark, right?
So they are technically their own nation, but they are under, like, I forgot how, admiralty or some weird, like Denmark essentially controls their trade and foreign policy, but they are largely autonomous. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they have a prime minister or whatever, but their leader was basically like, look, we are Greenlandic and we want to be independent from Denmark. Yes. Let's talk to Trump. They're basically saying, Donald Trump goes to them and says, I will give you nothing, but we will open up gas leases. We will open up construction for hotels. We will improve your airport. The amount of money you will generate in taxes and jobs will be estimated at $5 billion in year one. Then they're going to go, we got it.
Yeah.
The people of Greenland will be rich.
So a win-win.
And and it doesn't actually have to be a United States territory. It just has to have the U.S. just has to have actual influence over it. We already have a military base there.
And it might be as simple as Trump is saying he wants Greenland, but what he ends up getting is expanded military access and oil leases.
Yep.
And then that's it. There's no actual territorial anything.
I mean, when the UK and Western Europe become super authoritarian and woke in the year 2050, we might need Greenland to have a base there to stop them from invading us.
Well, there's already a base there.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's good to have a base there, but like, the Western Europe, I'm just saying, I'm talking Ian style. Yeah, Western Europe's, watch out for them.
There is one reason Donald Trump wants Greenland. And do you guys know what that is?
He likes ice.
Why is it Greenland and Panama?
Well, because of the trade routes.
Shipping lanes.
Yeah, shipping lanes.
Greenland is control of the Northwest Passage, and Panama, of course, the canal. Otherwise, you got to go around, what is it, Cape Horn or what? I don't know.
All the way around
all the way down to
South America.
Yeah, holy moly.
So if Trump is basically saying, we want to control the global shipping lanes in these areas, which will make us dominant on the world stage.
Would you guys rather Greenland or Panama? Easy answer.
Panama.
I feel like,
It's like play Monopoly.
Because of Russia.
Greenland.
Because of Russia, I think Greenland is probably the one because of Russia and China, because of proximity to Russia as well.
Oh.
Panama gives us the canal.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful. But Greenland gives us the upcoming Northwest Passage as well as the oil and gas leases.
Yep.
And
got to think about the future.
I just like the cold north. So like vacationing in Nook sounds really fun. Okay. Those photos.
Want to wear a big jacket.
I went to Barrow, Alaska. Yeah. They renamed it to Utqiagvik.
What?
Yeah, Barrow, Alaska is the northernmost city.
And they named it what?
Utqiagvik.
Utqiagvik. Okay, cool.
Yeah, probably saying it wrong, but it's because while the city is largely like American white background, there are indigenous there. And I think they said something like 72 activists went to city council, changed the name. No one voted, no one else. So most people there were like, it's Barrow, but now it's legally Utqiagvik.
How does Alaska have activists? They need to get off the internet.
I don't know. I mean, good for them. They voted. Elections have consequences.
That's true.
So
We need to get out more often. Let's go, team.
But there was this story. I don't know if let me see if I can figure out where I have this pulled up. Where they're, it's really funny actually. Here we go. Pete Hegseth confronted about seizing other countries.
It's so
That
ridiculous.
lady's terrible.
This is hilarious.
Maisie Hirano's garbage.
Yes, big time.
Our allies in recent weeks, refusing to rule out using military force to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, and threatening to make Canada the 51st state. Would you carry out an order from President Trump to seize Greenland, a territory of our NATO ally Denmark, by force, or would you comply with an order to take over the Panama Canal?
Senator, I will emphasize that President Trump received 77 million votes to be the lawful
We're
commander-in-chief
not
of
talking
this
about the
country.
election. My question is, would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Senator, one of the things that
An
President
ally
Trump
of
is so
Denmark?
good at
Us?
is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland.
These are not smart people. The
These are
Democrats.
gotcha. This happens both ways, right? The gotcha
Yes.
questions.
Yeah.
The whole, This is so much political theater. These things, they drive me nuts because it's just full of baloney. You know what I mean? Like, you see it on both sides when they do this. They're just literally trying to get him to say something that they have the soundbite on that he's like, and then the news articles are all like, he wants to invade Greenland.
Yep, that's what they're going to do. And Pete Hegseth can't answer that question at all. He can't because you have the correct responses for anybody who's serving a commander-in-chief. I am legally required to abide by all lawful orders of the president.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, aha, you admit it. You would invade Greenland. And it's like, I can't, well, he's the Secretary of Defense, right?
Yeah.
So he's not, I don't think that's a military role, but generally speaking, I serve at the pleasure of the commander-in-chief to act in any lawful
I think that's
way.
what he was getting to when she interrupted.
gonna
her.
go there, yeah.
He was saying, 77 million people voted for Donald Trump to make the decisions, and if he gives me a decision to make, I'll make it.
Yeah.
But like, she cut him off because she wanted the simple answers, like, "Yep, I can't wait to get Greenland."
All these hearings are a bunch of BS. It's just, I don't know if they solve anything.
They don't.
It's
Political
a waste
theater.
of time.
I'm so over
Yeah.
political theater.
Yeah, it's terrible.
The
TV ruined it.
Well, and also, a lot of these
TV killed
a
the
lot
radio
of these
star.
congressmen who want longevity because there are no term limits, they can be there for 20, 30 years. They want to make a name for themselves, right? So AOC wants her moment. She wants her fiery moment where she gets the guy, like, you can't handle the truth. She needs that moment to fuel, her name, her brand, all these types of things. This is what they all do. Like, how do they stay in power? By, elevating their names.
I think you've actually said something that would make me consider being in Congress.
What?
I would love to sit there and just like, how much time do I have to question the witness? You said 5 minutes. You, sir, want the truth, but you can't handle the truth. Now I would just start monologuing, making no sense whatsoever, but it would look really cool on camera. And then I would just be like, look at this dramatic, I'd edit music into it. I would waste everyone's time. That sounds truly fun. Then I would never get reelected again and everyone would be disappointed.
No, you might get reelected again. You're going to be like a Matt Gaetz style.
When you're
bro.
going to come with gotcha questions, you got to come with like better ones than that. Like the one when Ted Cruz, I think it was, with the judge, and he just asked her the simple question: "What is a woman?"
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm not a
He said,
biologist.
he just said like, "What
She's
is
like,
a woman?"
I'm not a
He knew-
biologist.
He knew that was. I cannot answer that question, which is like a pretty simple question: is what is the definition of a word? And there, like, his goal was obvious. Like, he knew what was going to happen. He's going to put her back up against the wall because she has to appease like a certain faction of progressive people who don't want her to say what's true. And those are the ones that work, and they create those sort of short sound bites. This one, she couldn't even get it out well. Like, it took her forever to sort of get the sentence out.
Oh, but let's look at this one. This one's from The Wrap. Elizabeth Warren slams Pete Hegseth for refusing to meet with her about his record on women. And so in this back and forth, I don't really care about the win in combat for this context. Yeah. It's this video right here. This is where the conversation went. Listen to this.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. But you're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals. In other words,
Oh, that was miserably embarrassing. I am not a general. But he's right. The argument being made by a lot of activists, I agree with this, is that, and I think Elon Musk and Vivek were talking about it, if you're a general, you should not be allowed to go and work in the private sector, military industrial companies for at least 10 years. So she's trying to play that up. He's like, but I'm not a general. And then everyone laughs at her. This is the degree of preparedness we can expect. They're not sending their best.
I don't think that it's I mean, it's not particularly controversial for your average American to be like, yeah, you know, the Secretary of Defense shouldn't get out of the office of SecDef and then go right to Raytheon.
Seems like that is something that all Americans agree with.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't
generally.
Imagine the argument against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing, and you know, the average American agrees in the banking industry too. You don't want whoever's running the Fed to go to the board of Goldman, you know, or go to, you know, the board of Wells Fargo or whatever. You know, Wells Fargo might not even have a board, but either way, point being, Citibank, whatever. You don't want to have people in an industry that is supposed to be regulating. Or you don't want people in government that is supposed to be regulating an industry going into that industry when they get out of their job. You know?
Yeah, nobody likes the fact that, you know, our politicians are beholden to who pays their bills. Like one example I can give you: when I was in California, we were trying to pass a legislation for online poker there, and I met with we had this little party, met with like all these Republicans, right? And to a man, this is when Sheldon Adelson was still alive, and he was super anti-online poker, didn't want anything to do with it.
Why?
Because he didn't have an in on it. He was behind the times, right? So he basically was, you know, paying all, you know, he was spending a lot of money with these politicians, and they came up to me, and frankly, to a man, they all said, "Listen, we'd love to do it, you know, but Sheldon flat out said, if I say yes on this bill, I'm cut off." Yeah. Wow. This is just how it works, you know, and that's, nobody likes that. It happens all over, you know, but a lot of these guys, they literally, their whole job in Congress is raising money. They spend 40 hours a week raising money for their next election.
But it is worth noting that the industries that or the agencies that are assigned to regulate industries, the people that are the regulators have to understand the industry too. So you end up with this circular situation where the people that are regulating have to know the industry well enough to make intelligent and comprehensive regulations if it's going to be regulated, but you also don't want them to get out of the business of government, get out of the bureaucracy, and then be like, well, the only thing I know how to do is the business that I was regulating. And it's also the business where I can get offered the most money. It becomes, the corruption is almost built in. And I think the actual answer is to limit what the government can actually regulate. But at the same time, it's at least worth talking about the fact that these things it's not as simple as just don't let regulators go into the business, or don't have people from that business be the regulators. You know,
it's actually much simpler. I have the solution. It's that in Congress, we're going to do term limits.
Yes, I was going to say that.
eight years, but you just got to wait. You got to wait. 8 years. Senate, 8 years. I don't like the 6-year term thing. Okay. Maybe the Senate gets a little bit long. I don't know. Maybe it's one term for a senator, 6 years.
Just not 50.
Not 50. And then once your terms are up, to the island.
wait, you gotta go to the island afterwards?
Island?
It's Greenland. A large Greenland.
What if they did a good job?
And you can't leave ever again.
Who's going to do this job?
That's a not good question.
To save America, I would help. I would go to the island.
Do you really care about your community and want to represent and do right by this country? Because as soon as your terms are up, you go to a far-off community where you will never come back and you will never work for anybody. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm just saying we would all be satisfied with our politicians.
When you said term limits, I got excited because it's like so many of these politicians that I met, like they all literally said they're on that's all they do. They don't have time to look at actual issues to help the community because they gotta spend all their time and resources on raising money for their next election. Yeah. We keep spending all this money. Like I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand like how you spend $1 billion on a campaign. I guess if you're, paying Meg Stallion and Beyonce to show up and what's that, whatever it is,
I'm just saying.
$1 billion. It's like all this money that the country needs and the people need. Like, why are you begging us to give you money to run campaigns? Yep. It's just so backwards.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.